Alright guys, welcome back again to more Muv-Luv Photonmelodies, aka Adoration. Let me just tell y'all right now that this is actually the end of this particular story, and I gotta say, it was entertaining as all hell. I loved these characters, and I don't know if there's gonna be a continuation of this story with these characters and their lives, but I hope there is sometime in the future. I'll have to look it up, or maybe some of you guys will tell me, but either way, I'm gonna miss them already. But outside of that, I gotta say it was really interesting, and I enjoyed what I saw, and I'm a little sad that it's over already. And outside of that though, it ended on a good note, but I'll let you all see for yourselves and see how it works out for you. So outside that, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the love and support. And let's finish this. This could be the last time I set my eyes upon this magnificent view. The smell of the tides, the green of the forest nearby. I've just barely grown familiar with this scene. And yet it's time for me to depart. Remembering these past few days feels strangely nostalgic. Out of character for me, I would say. Have I really become that sentimental? I'm sure the old me would believe this is the last time I would come to this faraway land. Then again, the old me is dead. Gone forever. I was aware that during a battle you have no choice but to entrust your comrades in arms with your life, and yet I needed to come to Europe to truly understand what this means. I tried to shoulder everything by myself, and not until the day I was utterly powerless to change my fate did I realize how wrong that was. Yesterday I took part in a real operation for the first time, albeit took part might be too charitable a description. I was no more useful than luggage, and so I had no choice but to sit back and wait for the battle to be over, hopefully with an outcome in our favor. The thought made me incredibly uneasy. The idea itself, that I had no choice but to trust a fighting force I deemed lacking, was confusing. To say my mind was thrown into chaos would be an understatement. But shortly thereafter, I would come to see I had greatly underestimated Cerberus. Maybe even more importantly, I noticed that Typhon's crew was in the exact same position. If the heavy laser class had broken through, we would have been vaporized, helpless to do anything. It made me realize that on the battlefield we're all equals. Regardless of our backgrounds, regardless of our status, we're all fighting for the same objective. Working together to finish the mission is the only thing that matters in the face of death. I'll be forever grateful to have experienced this lesson for myself. Mere theoretical knowledge could never hope to compare.
お前の話も言いたいこともよくわかった。申し訳ないが、私が言ってやれることは何一つない。他のことなら別だ。だが、その問題だけはお前が独力で答えにたどり着かなければ意味がない。どれだけもがき苦しもうとも、何にもよらない聖十郎の力だけでだ。お前と似たような問題を抱えた奴が我が隊にもいてな。いや、奴らと言うべきか。皆一人でもがき続けている。だからこそ人がいや、忘れてくれ。
Now I see what Lieutenant Falkenmeyer was hinting at that day. I can't believe how unreliable I was. I can't believe how kind the lieutenant was to go along with my whims. She all but told me the answers. I hope that after today, it'll be just a little bit easier to ensure the promises I've exchanged with Lieutenants Foyner and Brower come true. Wouldn't that be nice? Sounds like there's a car coming this way. I was planning on walking to the station to take in the surroundings until the very last minute. It's a pity. That's like such a luxury will not be granted to me. Wow, someone's practically torching that poor engine. That screeching is positively nasty. And judging from how fast the sound is approaching, the driver likes to step on the gas. What? It's going to...
ごめんなさいね、聖十郎くん。すっかりお待たせしてしまって。
まったくお前の運転は。あ、 清十郎、微動だにしないとは見上げた胆力だな。
私たち駅まで送るよう少佐から申し付けられましたのよ。
すまんがイルフリーでは別の任務で外せなくてな。
さあヘルガー、急ぎますわよ。
まだそれほどの時間では。おい、待ってくれ。
They just threw me in. It's so.
列車の時間には十分に間に合いましたわね。無事に送ることができて何よりですわ。
You should be glad I'm not dead. And there's almost an hour left. Let me tell you what happened. I was shoved into the car and somehow I ended up here before I knew it. You guys think I don't know what I'm talking about? You're right. I don't know what's going on at all. I saw it all, but it wasn't something like an advanced driving techniques or breaking the sound barrier. It was over in a flash, but that was traumatic enough. Riding in a car with Lieutenant Vitzovin behind the wheel is far more terrifying than TSF flight training. Her driving was reckless enough traveling on a paved road, but then she suddenly decided to take an off-road detour, and I could swear to the gods I had seen my last glimpse of this world.
どうした清十郎、顔色が悪いぞ。
How come you're okay? Are you even human?
とうとうお別れですわね、清十郎くん。この数日間、とても楽しかったですわ。あなたと。
It was my honor, Lieutenant. I'll devote myself to use what I learned here for the sake of humanity and the Empire.
私たちも清十郎くんに負けないよう修練し続けますわ。
That reminds me, I already wrote about it in my letter, but it can't hurt to thank her in person. Excuse me, Lieutenant Vitzobin, but there's something I would like to thank you for.
お礼？まあ、なんでしょう。
For always leaving me a wet towel. I mean, a hot towel in my room. I want you to know that I'm sincerely grateful. It's my first time living abroad, and the experience can be quite stressful at times. Thanks to that kind of gesture of yours, my mental fatigue vanished in the blink of an eye. I was recharged, filled with excitement and ready to face tomorrow. Despite your busy schedule, you were always there for me night after night. At this point, I'm simply repeating myself, but thank you from the bottom of my heart.
まあ、個人的に毎夜毎夜活力がみなぎるお世話に。
Is there something wrong, Lieutenant Vitzobin?
私などがお役に立てたのであれば光栄ですわ。
I don't know what she's thinking, but she's definitely getting the wrong idea.
清十郎は何か思い違いをしているようだな。
Not at all. I got a private room, it's true, but I've been using it in a completely wholesome way. I am not degenerate.
何を言っている？私はおしぼりの話をしているのだが。
That's what I've been talking about the entire time. Wait, what exactly did I get wrong?
清十郎くん、あなたの部屋に毎晩おしぼりを運んでいたのは私ではなくミルフィーなのよ。
Huh, then why'd you enter my quarters? What? Are you serious? So that display of hospitality was all Lieutenant Foyner's doing? But I remember I saw you coming out of my room during the first day.
私はあなたの荷物を運んだだけですわ。お部屋に入った時にはもうおしぼりが置かれていましたもの。
Oh. Now that explains why the hot towel was lukewarm, because Lieutenant Foyner was the one who put it there a while back. If Lieutenant Vitzobin had done so, it would have been as hot as intended.
日本から来る若いお客様が見知らぬ土地で過ごす一日の終わりに故郷を感じてほっとできるもの。そう言ってあの子が懸命に調べて選んだものがあのおしぼりですわ。
But I don't believe hot towels are a part of Japan's cultural heritage or something of the sort.
おかしいですわね。ミルフィーに見せてもらった資料にはおしぼりは中世の日本貴族から発祥した固有文化とありましたのに。
What?
第二次世界大戦後、日本の航空会社が機内サービスに取り入れ、その快適さから世界中に広まったと書いてあったが。
残念ながらベータ大戦以後の混乱で世界、特にヨーロッパでは おしぼりのサービスが絶えてしまったようですけれど。
This cannot be. Am I that ignorant of Japan's cultural heritage? Less well educated in the Empire's custom than German surface pilots?
それもイルフリーデが探し出した資料にあったな。それはお世辞にも深い内容とは言えないものだったが、イルフリーデは日本文化に関する資料を手当たり次第集めていたんだ。
付け焼き場もいいところでしたけど、お迎えの準備だと言って紙にブラシで文字を書いたり、調理室から鍋を借りてきたりで大わらわでしたわね。
日本の刀や鎧って何百年も前の戦争の道具なのに、細部にまで色鮮やかな飾りや美しい細工が凝らされていて、まるで美術品のようでしょ。武具にそういう思想と技術を込める民族が建てるなら、それは美しいお城になるんじゃないかなって思っていたのよ。とても美しいんでしょうね、日本のお城って。いつかこの目で見てみたいわ。
So that's why she sometimes seemed to know more than she should. That's right. That's exactly right. Unforgivable. How blind have I been? Not only was I in the dark about a tremendously important cultural asset of my beloved empire, but I was also ignorant of Lieutenant Foreigner's true worth. My complaints are worth less than a drunkard's ramblings. She was the one who cared about me the most. And how did I pay her back? I criticized her again and again, in front of her comrades even. Lieutenant Falkenmeyer, I really need to apologize to Lieutenant Foreigner. Is there a way for me to do so?
詫びなど不要だろう。イルフリーデの行動はお前に感謝されたいがためではないだろうからな。
What?
お前の不評を買ったあのようにラフな接し方はあやつ自身が選んだゆえのことだ。お前がどう評価しようとそれは自由だ。
She's saying it's my fault as well, that I should have been able to see beneath the surface, but failed miserably at the task. What I'm trying to understand is, why would Lieutenant Foreigner go so far for my sake?
簡単なことですわ、清十郎君。
Huh?
帰国後すぐに任官し、即戦場に立つであろう少年兵に、無人の矜持を示すよりも、人のぬくもりを感じられる思い出を渡したいと願ったのだろう。
So that was it. In the end, it all comes back to the 8 minutes of death. Once my exchange is over, I'll be deployed in combat as a newly commissioned second lieutenant in a matter of weeks. I could die in my very first battle, long before I could even reach the dreaded 8-minute threshold. That's why she did so much for me.
あいつは、そういうやつなんだ。
そうですわね。
She is an airhead with an excessive fondness for physical contact, and it wouldn't be inaccurate to describe her as meddlesome. But Lieutenant Foreigner is also someone who understands what it means to care for others in the truest sense of the word. I don't know what the future has in store for me. No matter how much I struggle, I may not last beyond the 8 minutes of death. But when the moment of my death comes, I want to be able to look back upon my life with pride.
さて、そろそろ戻りましょうか、ヘルガ。
わかった。行こう。
Lieutenant Witzelbin, Lieutenant Falkenmeyer, thank you for everything you've done.
達者でな、清十郎。命を粗末にする英士にだけはなるなよ。
Yes, I will. Your advice the other day was invaluable, Lieutenant. Thanks to you, I feel as if I've peeled off my adolescent skin and emerged as a real man.
そんなことをした覚えはないが、自信があるのは確かなようだな。
I'm not sure if I would call it confidence, but I'm certain your words gave me a new perspective.
みんな、一人でもがき続けている。だからこそ人が。いや、忘れてくれ。おせっかいが過ぎたようだ。
I wonder what you were going to say before you cut yourself off. Personal growth is as an individual matter. It's the person in question who has to deal with the resulting triumphs or failures. My struggle does not concern Lieutenant Falkenmeyer. Always relying on answers from another is the same as being stuck as a child forever. You're the only one who can find the answers to the questions that plague you. Never mind. Please forget I said anything.
一皮むけた。そんなことをした。
Here we go again. Could you please not ruin my farewell speech, woman? I'll be praying for your safety. Please relay that to Lieutenant Foyner as well.
分かった。必ず伝えよう。
さようなら清十郎くん。いつかまたお会いしましょう。
Am I imagining things, or did that Humvee just fly away? I'm not even speaking figuratively. Really now, it's a miracle I made it here in one piece. This was quite a pedestrian send-off, but that's alright. It's just like Cerberus to make a big deal out of things. There's still plenty of time until the train departs. Oh my god, I bet you we're gonna see Foyner again on a horse, just like they first met. According to my military-grade Casio watch, I have 43 minutes before I must leave. It's all thanks to Lieutenant Witzelbin's aggressive driving style and her blitzkrieg on that poor Humvee's engine. I would venture at its highest speed ever recorded off-road. Wish we could have taken the scenic route instead. Not a time to spare, but absolutely nothing to do. Waiting here without doing anything would be the worst possible choice. Miraculously, I found myself in the same situation as when I first arrived. Barely 10 days have passed, but it feels like an eternity. I can't believe how desperate I was to be seen as a full-fledged adult, to the point where I got myself into trouble for foolishly trying to prove that I'm not a child. But Europe, do not dare underestimate me. In the Empire, they say a boy can grow furiously in a mere 3 days, yet here I stand, a cadet in Europe, for 10 whole days, which means I have become a thrice the man. Still, something is missing. I can't lie and say everything worked out perfectly, but I don't believe it speaks ill of my character to be left with some lingering regrets. Tradition, discipline, and the legacy of House Makabe, my drive to uphold the values I hold dear remains as strong as ever, which is not to say I wish to remain stagnant. The time I spent here taught me that it's fine to let loose at times as long as you keep your wits about you. However, Europe, don't get your hopes up too high. I may be thrice the man I was, but demanding I do not feel sentimental as I take in the scenery would be asking the impossible. Well, such is life. Perhaps I should kill some time at the underground platform. I could count the railroad ties until I reach the same amount of number of good memories I have forged in this place. That'll keep me busy for a while. Oh, good grief, what am I thinking? I was supposed to head for the underground platform, but I ended up heading toward the equestrian trail instead. I have no idea what I'm doing, but for once, I'm gonna let things play out. Besides, this is nothing compared to Lieutenant Foyner's impulsivity. If she's like a typhoon leaving behind a trail of destruction, I am but a gentle breeze. This might possibly be the first time in my life I act solely on my feelings. Others might not consider this as anything special. For someone like me, though, who has always felt the need to justify his actions somehow, this is nothing short of a milestone. It's all thanks to Lieutenant Foyner. Clearly, she's been a major influence on me. What a shame. I couldn't say my goodbyes to her in person. I owe her so much. A simple letter doesn't do things justice. Now that I have to depart, the least I can do is sear the place where we first met into my memory. An indulgence, sure, but one that I will allow myself. Uh-oh. Here we go, I knew it. Lieutenant Foyner? Here we go again. I didn't write it down, but I owe you an apology. I was a fool who let himself be overcome by his own dogmatic beliefs. Not only did I make light of your unit and the rest of Europe, I even looked down on you when I had absolutely no grounds to do so. Behaving like a narrow-minded fool who couldn't understand your inner strength and nobility, the way you were always cheerful without relying on anyone. You could go so far as to say that strength of yours is what made me adore you. Ask not the sparrow how the eagle soars indeed. I wanted to apologize to you, Lieutenant, and yet I couldn't. There won't be many regrets to take back home from my time in Europe, but I'm sure this is one failure that will haunt me for the rest of my life.
どうしたの、清十郎？大丈夫？
Yeah, I'm okay. There's no need to concern yourself with me, Lieutenant. I brought this on myself. It's only right I accept whatever happens to me. What? Lieutenant Foyner? What are you doing here?
驚かせてごめんなさい。急いで追いかけたんだけど、まさか清十郎がこんなところにいるなんて思わなかったから。
What? Then she came all this way just to see me off?
あれ？私ちゃんと英語で話してるわよね。
Oh, yes, yes, Lieutenant. You're speaking in English.
やだもう、脅かさないで清十郎。私の顔を見てもずっと動かないんだもの。ドキドキしちゃったわ。
No, I was just,
でも間に合ってよかった。遅くなっちゃったのは自分のせいだから仕方ないけど、そのせいで清十郎のお見送りをできなかったら寂しいものね。
well,
それにしても清十郎は本当にトレイルランコースが好きなのね。一緒に早駆けできなかったのがちょっと残念だわ。
oh, no, there's no need to worry about that.
でも言ったでしょ、この一帯は部外者立ち入り禁止の部隊占有エリアだって。もう忘れちゃったの？
Of course I didn't forget, Lieutenant. That's exactly why I came here.
まあそうね。離任してもここを離れるまではまだ清十郎が私たちのお客様であることに変わりはないわよね。
That's not quite accurate, Lieutenant. I am the 37th Surface Pilot of the Cerberus Battalion.
37番目？
I wanted to carry this medal close to me on my way back to the Empire. Good thing I remembered to put it in my breast pocket.
それは
I got it from Major Eichberger. This proved that I stood beside Cerberus in an actual battle, more than I deserve, really.
よかったわね清十郎。本当によかったわね。
Thank you, Lieutenant. Normally she would start raving about Major Eichberger singing his praises with no end in sight, but could it be she's genuinely happy about me getting this medal?
帰国後すぐに任官し、即戦場に立つであろう少年兵に無人の矜持を示すよりも人のぬくもりを感じられる思い出を渡したいと願ったのだろう。
The way I treated Lieutenant Foreigner despite her going so far to take care of me and how I looked down on her with an air of superiority, it's inexcusable. There's a good chance I won't ever see her again. I need to apologize now. Hey, Lieutenant.
何清十郎？
I can't do it. I shouldn't do it. The time for words has come and gone. What's done is done.
詫びなど不要だろう。イルフリーデの行動はお前に感謝されたいがためではないだろうからな。お前の不評を買ったあのようにラフな接し方はあやつ自身が選んだゆえのことだ。お前がどう評価しようとそれは自由だ。
This is not the time to apologize, but rather to acknowledge my ignorance, to pledge to do better. Lieutenant Foreigner made me tragically aware of this flaw of mine. One of the many things I should be thanking her for. Besides, saying I misunderstood her all this time and apologizing for that matter does her no good. It'd be a mere excuse for my failings, something done purely for my own self-satisfaction. Still, there is something I actually need to tell her. You've done so much for me, Lieutenant Foreigner. Thank you. I've learned so many unforgettable things during my time in Europe, and it's all thanks to you. I couldn't have asked for a better start to my career as a surface pilot. And I'd never experienced days as chaotic as the ones I spent with you, Lieutenant. I'll treasure them for the rest of my life.
清十郎。
Thank you for the wonderful memories. Please remain in good health forever.
さようなら清十郎。大丈夫。あなたなら立派な英士になれるわ。
Thank you very much. Suddenly, I felt the urge to speak up. I felt an overwhelming need to tell Lieutenant Foreigner something, anything, to the point where it was impossible to hold back. You know, Lieutenant, do you still remember what you said about wanting to see the Japanese castles?
うん。いつの日か私が日本に行ったら、清十郎が案内してくれるんでしょ？
Of course. I began to speak, but what little sense of confidence I had vanished as soon as the first words came out. It's not surprising, really. I have no idea what I want to tell the lieutenant. My mind keeps racing, trying to find out exactly what to say. I'm in uncharted territory. This is the first time I've ever confessed to a woman, and yet the words keep rushing out from my mouth. Lieutenant, I will do whatever it takes to keep our promise. I swear I'll survive the 8th minute to death.
分かっているわ。あなたは侍だもの。侍に二言はないものね。
Yes, when that time comes. When that time comes, I'll be there to welcome you, Lieutenant. She embraces me softly, as if caressing something precious. It feels distinctly different from the way she used to hug me. It's a warm and gentle embrace, one that reminds me of a mother.
その日が来ることを楽しみにしているわ。
Me too. Huh? Lieutenant!
これは騎士の誓い。
I'm sorry?
私から清十郎への約束の証よ。
Yes.
再び会える日まで私も頑張る。
I was but a child. Looking back, that much is clear. And perhaps she was my first love. But my love was unrequited. To Lieutenant Foyner, I was like a little brother, nothing more. I know that now, and I've come to terms with it. Oh, love, affection, adoration. Emotions I treated as one and the same without attempting to make any nuanced distinction. I thought mere determination would be enough, zeal would be enough for a man to rise to the occasion. How laughable. I can't believe what a sad excuse of a man I used to be. Brings a smile to my face, actually. But one person saw right through my act. Ilfried von Foyner. She didn't care about my shortcomings and gave me her unconditional love instead. I was so hell-bent on finding out what chivalry really meant. Pretty ironic now that I think about it. It was thanks to those German knights who stood so tall and proud without relying on anyone but themselves that I've come to know true Bushido. Hmm?
ヘッドクォーターより待機中の全攻撃部隊に次ぐ。支援砲撃終了まで約300秒。戦域突入に備えよ。繰り返す。戦域突入に備えよ。
Wolf Blaze 1 to all leaders. Cease standby mode. Bring engine output. That was fast. Crimson is the color of burning passion. It just so happens to be the Rote Company's color. A happy coincidence, I must
ヘ
say.
ッドクォーターより待機中の全攻撃部隊に次ぐ。支援砲撃終了まで約180秒。作戦は第3フェーズに移行。繰り返す。作戦は第3フェーズに移行。
I was a mere mockery of a man, but the change is nothing. A samurai's word is sacred. I'll fulfill my promise and I will repay their kindness. Holy crap, he's got a nice mech. Wolf Blaze 1 to Wolf Blaze Battalion. Fight as you always have. Devote yourself to the survival of the Empire. You have lived through battle before, do so once again. Damn. Let's go, Wolf Blaze. Follow my lead. Hell of an ending.
「行ってしまいましたわね」。
ああ、行ってしまったな。
ルナ、ヘルガ。
しかし間に合ってよかったな。清十郎が一人でふらふら歩き始めた時はどうなるかと思ったが。
間に合った？なんでヘルガがそれを？っていうかフラフラって何？ だいたい二人とも今までどこにいたのよ。
聖十郎を見送った後、高機動車を車両保管所に戻していたんだ。
そうじゃなくて、聖十郎と一緒に駅で待ってるからすぐ来いってメモをくれたでしょ。
まあ私はそのつもりだったんだが。
ひどいわよ。聖十郎ほっぽり出してさっさと帰ってくるなんて。
いや、私たちは最後まで見届けていたのだが。
さっきから何を言ってるのヘルガ。だいたいどこにもいなかったじゃない。
Ah, they were spying on her.
俺は必ず死の8分を乗り越え、少尉との約束を果たします。
は？
分かっているわ。あなたは侍だもの。侍に二言はないものね。
God, she has such good memory.
はい。その際には少尉をお迎えに上がる所存です。
ちょっと、なんでルナがそこまで細かく知ってるのよ。
あなた方のお別れの一部始終は少し離れたところからじっくりと拝見させていただいていましたの。
はあ？なんでわざわざそんなことするのよ。一緒に見送ってあげればよかったじゃない。
そのような野望できませんわ。
さっきから全然話が噛み合ってない感じがするんだけど。
遠くの少佐より近くの士官候補生、悪い選択ではありませんわ。敵と距離と年の差に阻まれてなお燃え上がる二人の心、素敵ですわ。
Oh my god.
はいはい、またルナの病気が始まったってわけね。人のことすぐ勝手に恋愛小説っぽい妄想にして楽しむんだから。
許してくれイルフリーデ。覗き見するようで不本意だったのだが。
分かってる。どうせルナがいろいろ計画して強引に仕切ったんでしょ。
あら、恥ずかしがらなくてもいいのよ。私たちはあなた方を心から応援していますわ。
待て、私をそこに加えるな。
別に何を妄想するのもルナの勝手だけど、そんな目で見るのは聖十郎に失礼でしょ。あんな小さい子が立派な英士になるために地球の反対側からわざわざ見学しに来てくれたのよ。
あんな小さい子？
そうよ。しかも日本に帰ったらすぐに実戦に出るなんて。仕方のないこととはいえ、世界中で起きている悲しい現実だわ。だから聖十郎には楽しい思いをいっぱいして帰ってほしかったの。だいたい私なんかが相手じゃ聖十郎がかわいそうじゃない。あの子がいい年頃になったら私おばちゃんだよ。
そこまで？
聖十郎、私がおばちゃんになっても日本のお城を案内してくれるかしら。
That's a bit much.
それまでは絶対死ねないわよね。だから二人で約束したんだ。
イルフィ、もしかするとあなた聖十郎くんの年齢を知らないのではなくて？
聖十郎の年？まあ、あの外見だしどう見ても小学生ぐらいでしょ。
まあ、イルフィったら東洋人は実際の年齢よりかなり若く見えるのよ。いくらなんでも中学生ぐらいですわ。
またルナの妄想が始まった。
お前たち一体何を言っている？お前たちは司令部から配布された聖十郎の資料にきちんと目を通していたのか？
え？ああ、今朝事務官が回収してたあの分厚いやつね。まあざっとね。名前と写真はちゃんと見たわよ。
私はあくまでサポートですので、そこまでの詳細は
つまり見ていないということだな。
Of course they didn't read it.
いいのよ、細かいことは。初対面で変な先入観があると 逆にうまくいかない場合があるでしょ。それにほら、私日本のこといろいろ調べるので忙しかったし。
お前たちは。
何？もしかして何かあった？私また何かいけなかった？ちょっとなんで急に黙るの？何その目、その遠い目は何なの？
清十郎は美しい思い出を持って帰った。
Yeah, I guess
それ
the
でいい
only
ではない
one.
か。
ちょっとルナ、なんか言いなさいよ。
イルフィ、真実を知ることは必ずしも幸せとは限りませんわ。
はあ？なんであんたが急にそっち側行ってんのよ。
花からルナの妄想など真に受けてないが、それに
何歳なの？
清十郎くん、よりによってなぜイルフィなのでしょうね。
Funny enough, he didn't really fall for her until the end, though.
だからなんであんたはそんなことを上から。
まったく粗骨者が。
だから何歳なのよ。
Growing pains completed. Alright guys, well that ends Adoration. I gotta say, even though it was a short BN, well, they gave you a time limit, which was 10 days for this guy to stay with them, but otherwise, I actually enjoyed it a lot. It had everything I wanted with a good mix of drama. Like, it gave you a good straight line as to how these characters, these characters would interact with one another. Seijiro was like the most eccentric of the bunch to me, because I've never really met a main character like that, and that's what made me hooked on this particular title in the first place, because his interactions with everyone was so funny and so unique that it made the whole story, or the whole of this particular title, more gripping for me, especially when it came to the final outcome of the battle with the beta. Like, I was worried again, because after experiencing Alternative, I didn't know what to think, but I was honestly hoping that they would be okay. And yeah, even though it was a short VN, they kind of had to go through with that outcome where everyone would be okay in the end. It seems like it's still it seems like it still kind of ended on a cliffhanger of sorts. I feel like the next game, that the next title that's a part of this particular VN, will continue their story. I could be wrong though, but I'll be checking that out in the meantime, in the days to come. But otherwise, guys, I want to thank you all for watching and joining me on this one, because I actually did really have fun with this particular story. And soon enough, we'll be moving on to the next title. I don't know what that one is, but we'll find out soon enough following forward. So yeah, thank you again. I'll see you all in the next one.